Hi everyone! In this video, we are going to make a really cute sign for my kitchen. You can create a sign for any place in your house. My particular sign is going to say, Alexa, feed the kids, because that is one of the tasks that, oh my goodness, that is just a task when you have really small children. It gets quite messy and it's like a full-on sport when you are feeding little children. This is not an original idea. They have a lot of ideas like this around saying, Alexa, do something or other. So I'd be curious on what you guys would put on your sign. We made one for my mom when she was visiting, and she said, Alexa, do the laundry, because she just didn't really love doing laundry. So what would be your task? I personally love doing laundry, so I wouldn't put that on mine, but feeding the kids, yeah, I can definitely delegate Alexa to feed the kids. So anyway, I'm going to create that little design on my little wood sign here, and I just got this wood sign from Hobby Lobby. It is in the bare wood section. It measures in at about 8.8, or I'm sorry, not 8.8, 8 by 8, and so it comes, you know, completely bare. And then what I did is I put some of my favorite white Adirondack and color chalk paint on this, and I put a few coats on, and then I used an electric sander to get it all distressed on the edges. Hopefully you can see a little bit. It's really hard with white, but and then I put a little bit of distressing on it just because I really like that more shabby chic farmhouse look. So we are going to be using a variety of things today. And also, before I get started, I am getting a ton of questions and Instagram messages over this craft mat that I have made, and I actually made it. So a lot of you are wondering if I could link it, but I actually made it. So because I've been getting so many questions, I'm going to go ahead and do a tutorial on how to make your own craft mat. So be sure you are all subscribed, because that is coming to the channel, and I just know that it is a very long awaited question that people are being asked. So I'm going to go ahead and just film a tutorial on that. So make sure you're all subscribed so you don't miss that, and you can create one for yourself. Okay, so we're going to need some wood, and we are going to need a couple rolls of vinyl. I'm going to do 2 different colors, so this is a great project for layering vinyl. So I'm going to be using this Oracle 651, and this is a permanent vinyl. It's their light gray. It's really pretty, and it pairs really, really well with this color here. I don't remember this exact color. It is Cricut, and it's like a light mint. It is super, super pretty, but they work really well together. You're also going to need a scraping tool or squeegee tool, a weeding tool of your choice, some scissors, coffee, just kidding, but really it's 5 a.m. here, so coffee in my craft world is not optional, but coffee is optional for you. We are also going to use some masking transfer tape. This is my favorite. I really, really like it. So if you want to get a roll of that for yourself, I've been using it for quite some time, and it really works super nice. So I'll go ahead and link all of these materials in the description box below, as well as any other materials that sneak their way onto the craft table during this tutorial. Okay, let's get into measuring our design, and then we will get to designing in Design Space. So this is actually coming in at about 7 3/4, so 7.75 by well, almost 8. So I'm just gonna label this 7 3/4 by 7 3/4 for this purpose. That way we can get our measurements all perfected in Design Space, and we don't get our design too big or too small. So let's go ahead and pop in there. I'm going to show you how exactly I'm going to create this look, and it'll give you a little idea of the possibilities of how you can take a project from being, you know, just a text sign to adding a little bit of fun around the edges, and adding a little bit of you know, art to make it just look a little bit more professional and polished. Okay, let's get going. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go over and create a shape box, and this is going to just represent my wooden sign that I'm working with. This way it's just going to help me make all of my text and my designs that I'm going to be putting on my sign. It'll just help me scale everything so that I can only cut it once. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make this box 7.75 by 7.75, and I just did that by going up and typing that in manually into the size portion of the box up here. Now I'm going to go and just click white because this is just going to be my white box. And I'm now going to start adding some text. So I'm going to add each word individually, and I'm using the font Aftergrows. I believe this is from Font Bundles. It was a free download. And again, I'm just making this as an individual personal project for my kitchen. So this is just a personal project for me. So I'm going to just start adding my words one by one. So, and you guys will see why in just a second, why I prefer to do it this way. But if you prefer to do any part of this project your own way, then definitely go ahead and do that. So Alexa, feed, and then I just keep clicking the text box to add new. So you can click that as many times just to add individual boxes. Okay, Alexa, feed the kids. Okay. Perfect. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to, it's a beautiful script font, but right now it's not looking like it's cursive at all. Those letters are not connected. It kind of looks a little disjointed. So what I do is you just click the word, and all of the words right now are individual in the layer panel, but I'm going to go up and hit ungroup, and that is going to make each letter individual. So now each letter is a standalone file, and I am going to just start dragging and dropping. So I'm just going to go quickly and just start dragging those together. And now once I do that, I am going to weld them back together so that they are again one file. That way they will print in cursive together and interconnect. So I'm going to head and hit weld, and we've got that one perfect. Actually, let me undo that real quick and put that X and A just a tad closer. Okay, I like that better. Weld. Okay, and I'm just going to lather, rinse, repeat with each word, and just keep dragging and then welding. Perfect. And ungroup. And that T and H are going to go separate because for me this is just way too close for comfort. I don't think it looks very nice, and I think this looks better. So again, weld. And then ungroup and our final word. And again, same thing with that S. It's just going to be a standalone one. Okay, and weld. Now, if you run into this problem where one of your letters fills in, all it means is that the letter before it accidentally went too far into the letter. So you just have to pull that I away from the D a little bit and then try to re-weld again. Okay, and that worked. So now why I put these all individually is because now I can just drag them individually and kind of place them where I would like them. And that is looking really good to my eye. I kind of want them. Let's see, actually, I'm gonna go back with that. And you can just keep dragging. You can really even just keep dragging until the very end because it's not really a final answer until you cut. So just allow yourself to be a little indecisive for a bit. Okay, so now, goodness, I can't decide. Anybody else? I'm calling for a friend here. Just the designing part takes usually way longer than the actual craft for me because I go back and forth and I like to try new things. So, okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here to the color box and I'm going to color this light gray because this is the color I'll be cutting it on. And this really is just for aesthetic, visual purposes. You know, the color really doesn't matter, but just to really give myself an idea of where I'm going with this project, and also for you as well, I'm just going to use the actual colors I'm using. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some really pretty vines to the top and bottom because I think it'll just make it that much more beautiful and make it look a little bit more professional and polished. So I'm going to go over to the images. And what I'm going to do is I'm in the category Happy Something Birthday, and it's a little theme over here, and I love all this stuff. It's so pretty, and I know this has nothing to do with birthday, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to be using just these little nice vines from this design. So I'm going to go ahead and insert images. Also, if you hit the or click this little I button right here, I'll show you. It gives you the actual name of the file that you're working with. And it also gives you a little like code, I suppose. So usually when I am going through Design Space and I am looking for future projects, I usually copy down this code. That way in the future I can find it easier, because sometimes Design Space is so full of design that it's kind of hard to relocate things. So I'll usually write down the name of it and then the code just in case I need to relocate that again. So go ahead now and hit insert images. And what we're going to do is we are just going to slice out one of the vines. So how we will do that is we're going to take a shape box and we are going to cover what we do not need. So we do not need the Hello 18 or the second vine. So I'm going to go ahead and cover that. And then I'm going to go ahead and highlight both the file and the box and go down here to hit slice. Okay, now I can start deleting. I can delete this box, I don't need it. I can delete the Hello 18 and Hello 18, and I'm left with one vine. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to, let me size my vine a little bit here to see how big I want it. Okay, and now, sorry guys, let me resize this down a little bit. It's getting where I want it to be. Well, maybe a little bigger again. Okay, so now again, this box is just a blessing because it just helps size everything. Now I'm going to make two of these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click, now that I kind of have this sized where I want it, I'm going to click it, I'm going to duplicate it, then I'm going to flip it horizontally and then flip it vertically. Okay. And then it will just be down here. Now, why I waited to do that till now is because I have it sized kind of where I want it. And so I want both of these to be sized exactly. So I went ahead and got my size pretty much perfect. And then I'm going to go ahead and then I went ahead and duplicated it so that they match. So this will be a nice light green color. I'm still thinking the vines are just a tad big. So I'm going to size those down. And then just kind of move them around here. There we go. I think that's looking a little bit better. Okay. What are we thinking? I think the Alexa Feed the Kids all look really well in spacing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and select all of those. And I'm going to go down here and weld all the words together at this point. That way the Cricut will go ahead and cut them all exactly like this with this spacing, because this is the spacing that I really like. So I'm going to go ahead and weld those together. Perfect. And now those are all one file together. So I'm still just kind of playing around with the sizing of my... I actually think it looks good. So I'm going to see if I can center. I'm just clicking both the two vines, and I'm going to let's see, center horizontally. Okay, so I was actually really close. So I just want to make sure that those were lining up perfectly. And I think I'm ready to go. I really like a lot of intentional white space around my design. I think it looks really intentional and nice and professional. So that's why I'm going to size this just like this. All right, I think final answer. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and click hide right here. There's a little eyeball here. I'm going to hide the white box because I don't need the Cricut cutting out a 7 3/4 in square inches box. So I'll go ahead and hide that. Now this can be made on any machine. So you can go ahead and click which one you want. If you do use the Joy, just let's see if it will. Actually, the sizing is perfect for Joy. Fun. Oh, cool. So I'm going to use my Maker today because it's already plugged in, but if you have your Joy, then go ahead and use that because that's really exciting too. So I was going to tell you just to be aware of your sizes for the Joy, but it looks like they are all sized perfectly. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to, oops, let me hit back. I'm going to actually, so I'm using my Maker. I am going to go ahead and click both of the vines, and since I have them centered how I want them, I'm going to go ahead and hit weld because I want these to cut exactly like this. I don't want to have to recenter them on my project, so I'm going to have them cut like that. All right, let's go ahead and get to making the project. So now what it's doing, it's going to divide up my designs, and they're all perfectly spaced and welded together, so they're going to work perfectly. It's going to put them all on 2 different mats, and then I am going to get to cutting. So let's go ahead and hit continue, and now it's just going to locate my maker via Bluetooth. And now we can set our material. So I'm going to be using vinyl. So I'll just select vinyl. I'm going to use default pressure. And now we will get to loading our vinyl and get to cutting so we can bring this little project together. Okay, so you guys can tell that I use this all the time. And I just kind of have my scraps. This is a definite scrap piece. So I'm going to just load my mat with this nice gray color and get it all laid down perfectly. And I'm just going to use my brayer tool just to get it all down there. And I'm referencing my design space right here just to make sure that my design is going to fit up in this little corner here, and it will. So it's a good use of scrap material for this piece. And now I'm just going to load it. So I'm going to hit the flashing button, which will allow me to load it. And I will also wait for this little green one to flash, which it is, and then I can go ahead and hit that, and it will get to cutting. Okay, so just finished cutting. It took about a minute to do that, so not long at all. So I'm going to just flip my mat over and just kind of lay my vinyl down flat on the mat, and then just peel the mat away from the vinyl. And then the next thing I'm going to do is load this nice, gosh, I can't remember the color. I bought it in person too at Michael's, and I saw it and just thought, that is definitely my style. So I have not regretted it. I've actually paired these 2 colors together before too, and it worked really, really well. Okay, so get that loaded. And these are going to be the really pretty vines, so those are going to look really, really nice together. So now we can just start getting this cut out and weeded. Okay. Leaving me even more scraps to work with. Okay. So a lot of tools over here. Okay. So now I'm just going to pull the corners and remove all of the surrounding area from my design. That's a good starting point for me. It just makes the most sense, and it kind of just helps me focus a little bit. Okay, so now I'll just go through and take all the little middle pieces out and just collect them on my finger here. I have to be honest, I'm actually redoing this sign. I had this sign in my kitchen. I made it as a first project, or one of my first projects when I first got my machine last summer, and I'll show you when I do the sign why I messed it up, and it has just been bothering me ever since. So I decided, you know what, I'm redoing that because it bothers me, and get it all fixed. Okay, so go ahead and remove the scraps, and then this is the final. Looks really good. And these are almost done cutting, and voila. Okay, so let's go ahead, and I'm going to show you, I went ahead and grabbed my True Control knife. I'm going to show you how I'm going to remedy this dilemma of wasting vinyl here. So you guys will see as I cut this out that there's going to be a lot of vinyl that's in this design that's not going to be used, and if you're like me and don't really like to waste vinyl, then I am with you, and I think we can salvage some here without ruining the purpose of printing them or cutting them all together. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, so my design, it's hard to see though, I have my vines here and here, but I have all this space in the middle that is wasted, and it's just so sad to see that all go in the trash. So what I'm going to do is, before I get to weeding, and because once you weed it, it's gone, you have to throw it away. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, I want these to stay connected. I printed them for a reason, because I have them all lined up in Design Space and everything is aligned perfectly. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut out and leave the edges here. I'm just going to cut out some of the vinyl to save it. Sorry, my head got in the way there. And just being careful, got a little closer, being careful not to cut your design, and also being mindful to leave some vinyl to connect the two pieces. Okay, so now we still have these pieces connected, so they're still going to lay down as they should, but we also have saved some vinyl, because if you weed that, it's just, this is would have been going in the trash, and that's a decent sized vinyl that I definitely will use it for something. So now we have some leftovers. Okay, just a tip, if you're okay with you know, saying goodbye to some vinyl, don't even worry about that. But if you want to save some, then you can do that. It's just a little helpful tip. Okay, so now we'll go ahead and continue with the weeding. Okay. So what do you guys think about weeding? Is it a fun process for you, or is it a part that you don't like? For me, I enjoy it so much, and I really had fun during Christmas when it was time to weed out like snowflakes. Oh my goodness, that was fun for me. I find it really relaxing and just oddly very like gratifying, I guess. So what do you guys think? Do you like it or not? I think it's one of those things that people really enjoy or don't. You're either or. Okay, so just quickly going through, grabbing all those little pieces. Again, just collecting them on my finger just to keep them all contained. Okay. And we are nearing the finish line with this project. Okay, so now I'm going to show you guys what I did wrong the last time. And you guys may laugh and think, geez, I wouldn't have made that mistake. Or some of you may be unaware. Okay, there is that one. Okay, so what I did was, funny enough, on the back, you will see a little clasp. I use this sign as just like a sign that sits up. I don't hang it. So I never really was referencing the clasp. And what I did last time is I did my design so that it was set up this way, or was it this way? Either way, and it was just like wobbly. So every time that I closed a kitchen drawer, this would topple over, and it drove me mad to the point where I was like, I am redoing this sign because it's driving me crazy. So if you are doing a sign that sits, which most of mine do, if you're doing a sign that sits, it's hard to see from up above, but sits instead of hangs or tilts, make sure that you, before you do anything else, test it and make sure that it is sturdy. And usually if it's the clasp side up, they have designed it perfectly, but if you do it on the side, it is really wobbly. Again, you may think that's just common knowledge, and that's totally fine. This may be just a moment for me, but it's not. It wasn't for me, because I just never really thought to look behind and get it all arranged. So anyway, that is a step that I would recommend. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay down the vines first. So I'm going to take my masking transfer tape. Okay, and just lay that nicely here. And I'll just cut it off. Okay. And now I'm just going to take this little squeegee pressing down, just making sure that this vinyl is going to pull up from the little Cricut carrier sheet and be placed onto the transfer sheet, and that is going to be what transfers it over to our wood. Okay, so now leaving this side down, I'm just going to start peeling, and using my weeding tool is very helpful here, because sometimes that first little edge, or second, or third, or fourth, sometimes it's ongoing, just need a little bit of encouragement to come off of the carrier sheet, and the weeding tool is a perfect little, perfect little tool to help nudge things along. I just dropped that sheet right back on there, so. Okay. So now we do have a lot of transfer tape in the middle that we're not using, but don't worry, we're going to reuse that for the text. Okay, so now, just making sure all the pieces are laid down nice. Now we can go ahead, double check. Oh my goodness, I'm not going to have that drive me crazy again for another 6 months. Okay. So I'm just going to lay this down first. And I'm going to lightly lay this and grab my measuring tape. Oh, it's exactly an inch. No way. Not lying at all. It's an inch from the top and bottom. Not lying. That was lucky. Okay, and then it's 1 3/4 by, stop it. Okay, no, this is a good luck day. Okay, so I have it an inch from the top, an inch from the top, and an inch and 3/4, an inch and 3/4. This scarily happens a lot to me. My eye tends to center pretty easily, so wow. Yay. Okay, that's exciting when that works out that way. Okay, so now just scraping that down. And then peeling up. And we have the first layer down. Cute. Okay, so now I'm going to reuse this transfer tape. Okay, and once I have that laid down, I'm going to cut off the extra. So we had very, very minimal wasted material in this project, which makes my heart so happy, because that means just extra projects so we can do. Okay. Let's move a couple things to the side here. For me, a clean workspace is a happy workspace. Gets me all just focused so that I can craft well. Okay. So again, repeating the same process that I did with the vines. Okay. And then we're just going to peel up again. I have to say the Oracle vinyl is, I think I've mentioned it before, my preferred vinyl to use. It is amazing, and it weeds nice, it transfers nice, and it just is it really is just really super easy to work with. My little S wants to say with the carrier sheet. Okay, and then I just have an apostrophe. Or no, it was a comma, wasn't it? Yeah. Comma. There we go. Okay. All set. So now that I have my vines down, I can really just center this part with the vines. I'm just going to lightly set down. Now it's important that you just lightly set down at this point, because, ooh, I think that's, because vinyl really, really wants to stick once you lay it down. Ooh, that might have to be hold on, let me measure. We are coming in at 1 3/4 by 1 3/4. Okay, just want to make sure it's straight though. I think it's gonna, okay. Hopefully it is. Okay. Cute, cute, cute. Oh, I always get so excited. My reveals are the same as your reveals because I only craft these once. So, oh my goodness, I love it. It looks really cute. I like how the colors pair together well together as well. Super fun. Okay, that was the final. Okay, so I am curious. Two things. Do you enjoy weeding? Second of all, if you were going to do an Alexa sign, what would yours say? Would you have her vacuum, do the laundry, do the dishes? I would just be curious what you guys would decide. Okay, if you guys enjoyed this, make sure you give it a thumbs up and make sure you're all subscribed. I'm going to do the craft mat for you guys. Continue with Easter and spring. And then just so many fun things are coming up. I'm really excited. I love the changing of seasons because I feel like when the seasons change, my inspiration just goes crazy. I have a big trip today to the craft store. And yeah, a lot of fun things are going to start popping up at my craft table. So make sure you guys are all subscribed so you can follow along. All right, guys, thanks so much for being here. And I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. And I hope to see you in the next video.